Dad's van. Today we're going to be installing the dosing pump for the Espar Airtronic D2 to the underside of the van. Now looking towards the back of the van here, looping around, and here's where I've mounted the dosing pump. And then I mounted it at this angle according to the instructions. I have that coming in, have all the fittings on here that are needed, so fuel line can come. This is the output side, this is the input side, and then following from the input side around, now I'm facing towards the front of the van. Got more fittings to tie the hose together, and then into the auxiliary fuel tap, which is right here, and that is kind of a harder plastic tubing, but it's got that connector that we can easily tap into, and that's it. Alright, the intake line, I ran back here, ran it up over this beam here, and then it just sticks out on the other side of that beam back here. Stays there nicely, doesn't really need to be secured down at all. And so the exhaust line, I brought it out and ran it over here to the muffler. In the future I'm going to run it down further because this is actually near the sliding door, and when it's running you can kind of smell the exhaust. So further placement is better. Here's how we got the dosing pump wire routed. Basically there's two holes that had plastic caps on them next to the Airtronic. Took the plastic caps out, put a flashlight, kind of got under the van and figured out where those come out. And it turns out that basically this hole, you go back towards the back of the van a little bit, and then it drops straight down through two other holes. So what I've done is actually pushed up a piece of wire through the two holes on the bottom, and now I'm going to grab it with some pliers. Alright, bingo, here's the piece of speaker wire that I pushed up through there. And if we go to the bottom, under the van, you can see that's the hole that I went up through. So basically straight up towards the front of the van gets you to where that hole on top is. Alright, tape the dosing pump wiring to the speaker cable, and now we're just going to pull it on through. There we go. There's the dosing pump wire. Alright, for the dosing pump, Mercedes has these nice little plastic plugs that come in these holes under the passenger seat. So popped one of those out, drilled a hole in the middle about the same diameter as a wire, and then ran the wire through that, so you get a nice seal and keep this area free of cold air and the elements. Alright, we are hooking up the fuel line on the heater side. So one thing I want to just point out is it's important when you put these clips on that you have the screw facing a direction where you can actually get a tool to tighten it. Alright, the fuel line, I have that wrapped in some high temp protective sheath. That comes out from the Espar unit and loops around here. I have a twist tie holding that in place with the dosing pump wire, and then those go over the catalytic converter. I'm not sure how necessary this heat proofing material is. I noticed there's already a lot of other wiring from the factory, Mercedes factory, that just has your kind of standard plastic, but it's a good peace of mind. Okay, so we've got the fuel line and we've got the dosing pump control line. In a prior video I showed you how I pulled that dosing pump control line down through this beam, from the interior of the van down through this beam, and then the two of those are combined into one and go along here over the catalytic converter. There were already some existing bolt holes here, so I used those with a washer to just kind of hold things in place. Alright, so for securing the wire loom under the van, there's a couple of unused threaded holes, and I have here an M10 1.5 thread pitch, 20mm long screw that we're going to be using under the van to hold that loom in place. Okay, so over the catalytic converter and out the other side here. Again, it stayed tucked up nice and neat. And when I get over here, we got another unused threaded bolt hole, so I went ahead and used a bolt with a washer to hold that in place. And then things get a little trickier. You can't really see, but run this over the fuel tank. Now we're on the other side of the fuel tank, near the driver's side of the van, and we bring this out, and then over here, and now out this side. Again, twist ties to hold things in place, and we loop around towards the back of the van here, looping around. And here's where I've mounted the dosing pump.